Hello everybody, this is Rohit from English Academy. Today we will learn how to describe our ideas both in our speaking and writing to describe events of past time zone. So let's cover that thing up today. So when we describe an idea in past timeline, we have to use these sentence structures. We have to use simple sentences, indefinite sentences, continuous sentences, sentences which show past routine, and sentences which can refer to past events and are contextually describing context like suggestion, ability, etc. We are going to fix all of those things here today. So let's start everybody. Now let's start with a key headline. First, we are going to talk about simple sentences. Now, simple sentences can have this category. Now, simple sentences in past timeline are the sentences which describe usually a quality of something or state of being of that thing. In either of these situations, we use simple sentences of past timeline. So now let's make some sentences and understand how it is done. So first, let's understand structure. The structure is subject, was, were, and then we have object. In some of the cases, we can optionally add a quality also here to describe meaning of that object. Now let's see a sentence. The highest number of Japanese was in 2023. Let's say 2020. Now this way we can use the same thing. The highest number of Japanese is our subject, that is a compound subject. Post it we have was, because we are talking about singular highest number, and then we'll have our object as to where it is. Same way, let's say there was a huge discussion on this topic. Same way, we have described a simple idea using simple sentences. That is how we can describe quality or state of being using simple sentences, where we use was, were and object directly. In this kind of sentence, we do not use any verb. Now let's move to next thing, that is indefinite sentences. Indefinite sentences are such sentences which show a routine or past action. Most commonly, these refer to a past action which has taken place. Let's proceed, and let's proceed with its sentence structure. That is here subject plus second form of verb. In this case, you will have to use verb, and that too in its second form, and then there is going to be object in the end. Now let's proceed. Let's make some sentences using past indefinite. Now, as we learned, past indefinite always refer to past events. We can simply write sentences like, in 2000, the number of people dropped to 1 million. In this sentence form, let's see what do we have. In this sentence, the number of people is acting as subject. Drop is a verb and that is in second form, and then we have object. That is how we can write sentences in past time zone. Suppose there is a situation when we have to describe our visit to a historical place. In that case, we can say, I went to a historical place on last weekend. Now, I is used here as subject. That refers to first person. Post it, we have second form of go, which is went, and then other words and object, which are in the rest part of the sentence. That's how we can write indefinite sentences. In one exceptional usage, past indefinite tenses are also used as follows. This can also describe past possession. For instance, in this case, we are going to use subject had only, because had is the word which shows possession, and then there is going to be the object directly. Let's say people had old computers in the past time. Now in this sentence we have described a situation in which people had something which they do not have right now. So we are referring to a past possession in this sentence. Thus in this sentence, people is subject, had is second form of have, and then we have the object in the end. So that's how we can even describe our possession of past using past indefinite tense. Hope this thing is clear. Now let's proceed to next sentence structure, that is past continuous. Past continuous tense is the tense which refers to an activity which started in past and was in continuity. Now for this we have this sentence structure: was, were, V1 plus ing, and in the end we have object. Now let's write down some sentences. Now let's say people were ignoring the importance of technology earlier. Let's say I was not taking interest in studies. These are some of the examples which refer to actions which took in past and were in continuity. In many instances, you can use these sentence structures to describe feelings which are there. So, people were ignoring the importance of technology earlier. I was not taking interest in studies. This sentence structure is mostly going to be used in your speaking part. Rarely, in some cases, you may use it in your writing also. But the chances in which you will use this sentence structure in your writing will be less. Most probably, you have to use it in your speaking. Now, let's proceed towards next sentence structure. Today, we are covering these sentence structures very quickly. There is a reason behind that. This study is actually a revision study where we are revising all the tenses which are there in past tense. Post it, we will start applying it in our writing and speaking. So as to ensure that we do not make mistakes in grammar section when we have to speak in past. Now, the next condition is when we describe past routine. Now, to describe past routine, the structure happens to be somewhat this. Let's learn what is the structure to describe past routine. Now, to describe past routine, the structure is this. It is subject plus used to plus first form of verb and then object. For example, if you want to describe a situation of past when you used to do something in continuity and regularity, you are going to use this sentence structure. Let's say, I used to go by school bus to my school. Suppose there is a question. They have asked you to describe a journey or mode of transportation when you were a child. In that kind of situation, you can use used to describe your past routine action. Make sure in this case, use is it in third form, and after to use first form of verb. That is the correct order of using sentence structures. Now, that's how we describe past routine. Now, there are some other situations also. To describe past modal usage, let's say past modal usage. Many students make mistakes in this. Suppose I have seen in writings of many candidates when they are describing events of past or when they are describing something which happened in past, they often use should. Let's say if somebody is talking about something, then they say government that time should do it. Now, this is a present zone sentence which is incorrect if you're speaking in past timeline. The right way of using should in past will be using it with have. Whenever you are going to use any modal in past time, you have to use have after that. And after that, you have to use third form to describe past usage of that modal. However, there is an exception to this. Let's learn. Can has its past modal, which is could. You have to keep this thing in mind. If you wish to use can and you are contextually in past timeline, you instead have to use could only in that context. However, for other type of modals, if you are willing to use them in their past structure, make sure to add have after them and third form. Now, that is all what we have covered in today's session. Let's revise it once and then we will apply these in our writing and speaking. So today we have covered past timeline. We have not covered tenses in detail. We have just checked them and skimmed through all of these concepts. So when we talk about past timeline, when we speak in past timeline or when we write and describe events which happened in past, we can use these variety of sentence structures. The first sentence structure is simple sentence. Let's see what comes as a part of simple structure. These are such structures which show quality or state of being in past. For example, the highest amount of Japanese was in 2020. Same way, there was a huge discussion on this topic. In both of these sentences, there is no action happening. Now, whenever we are talking about actions, we have to use indefinite sentence structure of simple past. That is going to be subject plus second form of verb and object. Now let's see in first sentence. In 2000, the number of people dropped to 1 million. Now in this case, dropped is second form. Same way, next sentence. I went to a historical place on last weekend. So I have used I went to. Went is second form of verb here. Keep in mind, to use past indefinite sentences, you have to learn second form of all the verbs. That is why it is important to go through forms of verb table. You have it in your application in English Academy app. You can go through it and learn all of them. Same way, when you're describing Same way, when you are describing past possession, you have to use the same sentence structure, which is subject plus had plus object. Let's see a sentence. Some people had all computers in the past time. Now in this case, we have used had, and this had describes that these people do not have computers, those old computers now. Instead, they had it in the past. Now, same way, we have to use past continuous tense to describe events which took place in continuity in past. For example, people were ignoring the importance of technology earlier. Now, same way, I was not taking interest in studies. Now, these sentences are describing events which happened in past and in continuity at the same point of time. Now, last sentence structure which we completed was of past routine. To describe past routine, we can use used to and first form of verb. For example, we have this sentence, I used to go by school bus to my school. Now this describes a daily routine which I pursued when I was a child. Same way, past modal usage. Now whenever you are using any modal and you are in past time zone, make sure you're very clear with how you're using it. For an instance, if you want to use can and you are in past time zone, make sure to use could instead of it. Same way, if you want to use other modals such as should, might, may, and you want to use them in past, make sure to add have after them and post have to add. You also have to make sure to add third form of verb. That's how you write modals in past tense. Now, to apply all this knowledge, we are going to have some 5 questions and we are all going to write paragraphs on them. Now, you know how to write a paragraph as I told you earlier in the classes. If you wish to know how to write a paragraph, we can have a separate session on this. This will help you both again in speaking and writing. So, you have to write a paragraph on the following questions. Now, a visit to a historical place, a time when your vehicle broke down. It does not matter whether this vehicle is a private, it can also be public mode of transportation. You can talk about a time also when you lost one of the tires of your car or bike or the bus which you were traveling in, and you had to have a break from your journey. Now same way, when you had to wake up late at night, a time when you took advice from somebody, a time when you were sad for something. Now these are your topics, and you have to write sentences on these topics based on what we have studied today. Now writing on these topics will help you improve the concepts which we have learned earlier. This video is now going to be updated on YouTube. You can rewind it. If you find error in any of the concepts, you can just go to playback and understand how the things happened there. Now you have these questions which you have to answer and submit. Best of luck. These will help you in both speaking and writing.